All right, so get ready for a deep dive. And this one is fascinating and maybe a little unsettling. We're going to be looking at some predictions about the future. And these predictions come from a spiritual leader named Bapuji Patel.
Okay.
And his YouTube video lays out some pretty intense scenarios.
Oh, wow.
We're talking civil war, alien intervention, global conflict, even a cosmic fire that consumes multiple universes.
Like the whole thing.
Yeah. Now, these are definitely bold claims.
Definitely.
But let's unpack them and try to understand his reasoning.
Yeah, I think what's really striking is that these predictions aren't coming from, somebody who is like on the fringes of society.
Yeah.
Bapuji's a respected spiritual leader, has a significant following, and his perspective offers a pretty unique window into a worldview that might not be familiar to a lot of us.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting to kind of look at this.
Yeah, and he starts with a prediction that India will face a devastating civil war, and it'll be orchestrated by foreign powers. And he doesn't sugarcoat it. He describes the conflict as incredibly intense and difficult to control.
Oh, gosh.
Even suggesting that conventional military intervention won't be enough to stop it.
It makes me wonder, this is where we see the blending of the spiritual and the geopolitical in Bapuji's worldview. And I think what he believes this conflict is already unfolding, but on a subtle level, a plane of existence that he calls the subtle realm.
Okay.
And you can think of it as a spiritual dimension that influences our physical reality.
So is he saying there's a spiritual war happening right now that will eventually spill over into the physical world?
That seems to be the implication. And, he doesn't really delve into the specifics of what these subtle weapons or tactics might be. But the idea that unseen forces could be influencing global events is definitely a thought-provoking one.
Right, and it definitely challenges our conventional understanding of how conflicts arise and escalate. He also suggests that the civil war in India is just one part of a much larger conflict, a third world war that will engulf the entire globe.
Right, and this is where things get even more interesting.
Oh, boy.
Bapuji claims that this global war is also being fueled by entities in the subtle realm. Specifically, he names ghosts, demons, and aliens.
He said that?
He believes that these entities are manipulating world leaders, pushing them towards a nuclear confrontation.
Now, even for someone open to exploring different perspectives, that's a pretty big leap. Could this be a way of expressing anxieties about unseen forces or influences that shape global events?
That's a very astute observation. I think perhaps these entities, rather than being, literal beings, represent the darker aspects of human nature.
Okay.
Greed, hatred, the lust for power that can drive conflict and destruction. Or maybe it's a way of acknowledging that sometimes events unfold in ways that seem beyond human control, leading to a sense of helplessness and a search for explanations that are beyond the realm of the rational.
Yeah, it's definitely a different way of looking at the world, one that blends spirituality, geopolitics, and a belief in forces beyond our immediate understanding. But this isn't even the most dramatic prediction that Bapuji makes.
Right. We haven't even touched upon the Sire of Time, or what he refers to as Kala Agni.
Oh, right.
This is Bapuji's most extreme prediction.
Okay.
A fire that will engulf not just our universe, but multiple universes by the end of 2029.
Whoa.
And he describes it as a cyclical event, a natural part of a larger cosmic process of creation and destruction.
So it's almost like a reset button for the universe, a way of starting fresh.
That's one way to interpret it. It speaks to the idea that even in the vastness of the cosmos, there are cycles of birth, death, and renewal. However, Bapuji adds a twist to this cosmic fire scenario by connecting it to aliens entering the sun.
Oh, no.
He suggests they will deliberately trigger this event to destroy the current world.
Okay, so now we have aliens intentionally using the sun as a weapon to reset the universe. This is where I'm starting to feel like we're venturing into science fiction territory.
It's certainly pushing the boundaries of conventional thought. But remember, we're trying to understand Bapuji's worldview, not necessarily endorse it.
Sure.
Perhaps this is his way of expressing a deep concern about humanity's impact on the planet.
Okay.
And the potential consequences of our actions.
That's an interesting perspective. So with all this talk of war, destruction, and cosmic fires, what does Bapuji believe will happen to humanity?
His outlook is unfortunately quite bleak.
Yeah.
He believes humanity as we know it will cease to exist.
Yeah.
No physical bodies, not even what he calls subtle bodies, will survive this cosmic fire. Only the soul will remain.
So a complete wipeout, no survivors. That's pretty disheartening.
Not entirely.
Okay.
Bapuji offers a glimmer of hope. He believes individuals who achieve a high level of spiritual awareness, those with 200 kilo of power, or, as he puts it, will be protected by a powerful aura and experience a peaceful transition.
Wait, there's a chance to survive. Tell me more about this kala of power. What is it and how does one acquire it?
He claims there are currently 160 crore or 1.6 billion such souls on Earth right now. While he doesn't define kala of power explicitly, it seems to be connected to spiritual enlightenment, a state of heightened awareness and connection to a higher power.
So even in the face of these catastrophic predictions, Bapuji seems to be emphasizing the importance of spiritual growth as a path to not only survival, but also a more peaceful transition.
That's a key takeaway here, regardless of how literally we interpret his predictions. Bapuji's message seems to be centered on the idea that our internal state, our spiritual development, plays a crucial role in how we experience the world, even in times of crisis.
It's fascinating how he weaves together these complex ideas.
Oh.
A spiritual war unfolding alongside a physical one, aliens playing a role in a cosmic reset, and the power of individual spiritual growth as a means of navigating these turbulent times. It's a lot to process.
It certainly challenges our typical ways of thinking about global events and the forces that shape them. But even if we set aside the more fantastical elements for a moment, there's a core message here that resonates deeply. And that's the idea that our inner state, our spiritual awareness, can profoundly impact how we experience the world, especially during times of crisis.
So even if we don't necessarily buy into the idea of a literal subtle realm or aliens manipulating world leaders,
Right.
There's value in exploring the concept of inner peace and resilience as tools for navigating uncertain times.
Absolutely. Regardless of our individual beliefs, cultivating a sense of inner strength, purpose, and connection to something larger than ourselves can be incredibly empowering, especially when faced with challenges that feel overwhelming or beyond our control.
And it seems that Bapuji believes this inner transformation is not only essential for individual well-being, but also for mitigating the potential destruction he foresees. He talks about the importance of achieving a connection with the Supreme Kalki avatar. Can you elaborate on what he means by that?
So he describes the Supreme Kalki avatar as the ultimate divine force, a source of immense power and positive energy. Achieving a connection with this force, according to the Bapuji, involves deep spiritual practice and cultivating a state of pure awareness and selfless love. It's about aligning oneself with the highest good and radiating positive vibrations outwards to counteract the negativity and conflict he sees engulfing the world.
It almost sounds like he's suggesting that through individual spiritual growth, we can collectively shift the trajectory of events, perhaps even avert the catastrophic scenarios he's predicting.
There's definitely a sense of agency in his message, a belief that we are not merely passive observers in the face of these challenges. He also stresses the importance of knowledge and understanding, urging people to become Brahmajnani, individuals who possess the highest level of spiritual wisdom. He seems to believe this deep understanding is essential for navigating the coming challenges.
So it's not just about being a good person or meditating, it's about actively seeking knowledge and wisdom to better understand the universe and our place within it.
Exactly.
That's a pretty empowering message, even if you don't subscribe to all of his beliefs.
It highlights the idea that spiritual growth is an ongoing journey of learning, introspection, and self-discovery. It's about expanding our awareness, deepening our understanding, and connecting with something larger than ourselves.
It's interesting to consider how Bapuji's message might resonate with people who are experiencing a sense of unease or anxiety about the state of the world.
Right.
In a time when many feel like things are spiraling out of control, his predictions, while unsettling, could also offer a sense of hope.
That's a really insightful point.
Yeah.
His predictions, even the most dramatic ones, might serve as a catalyst for introspection, prompting people to ask deeper questions about the meaning and purpose of their lives.
Right.
And while his solutions might not appeal to everyone, the underlying message of seeking inner peace and connection could resonate with a wide range of individuals.
It's almost as if his predictions, even if not taken literally, could serve as a wake-up call, urging people to reevaluate their priorities, to cultivate inner strength, and to focus on what truly matters in life.
And in a world that often feels chaotic and unpredictable, that message of inner resilience and connection to a higher purpose could be incredibly comforting and empowering.
It also makes you think about the nature of prophecy itself. Is Bapuji claiming to have definitive knowledge of the future, or is he offering a potential scenario, a warning of what could happen if we don't change our course?
That's a fascinating question. Prophecies are often open to interpretation, And their purpose may be less about predicting specific events and more about prompting reflection and action.
Okay.
In this case, Bapuji's predictions could be seen as a call to awaken to the potential consequences of our collective choices and to embrace a path of spiritual growth and positive change.
So instead of getting bogged down in the literal details of his predictions, we can focus on the underlying message.
Right.
The importance of spiritual growth, inner peace, and connecting to something greater than ourselves.
Exactly. And this raises another important question. If faced with the possibility of such a future, even if it's just a hypothetical possibility, how would we choose to live our remaining time?
Would we cling to fear and anxiety, or would we seek out ways to find meaning and connection even amidst uncertainty? Would we prioritize material possessions or deepen our relationships and spiritual exploration?
Those are profound questions, and the answers will undoubtedly vary from person to person. But the act of contemplating these questions can be transformative in itself.
Right.
It forces us to confront our own mortality, to examine what truly matters to us, and to live our lives with more intention and purpose.
I think it's important to acknowledge that these predictions, particularly the ones involving global conflict and cosmic fire, can be quite disturbing for some people. And it's understandable to feel a sense of fear or anxiety when confronted with such scenarios.
Absolutely. It's important to approach these predictions with a healthy dose of discernment and to remember that they are just one person's interpretation of the future. It's also crucial to avoid getting caught up in a cycle of fear and negativity, as that can be counterproductive.
So how can we navigate these complex emotions and find a sense of balance and perspective when confronted with such unsettling predictions?
One approach is to focus on what we can control: our own thoughts, feelings, and actions. We can choose to cultivate inner peace and resilience through practices like meditation, mindfulness, or connecting with nature. We can also choose to focus on building strong relationships, contributing to our communities, and living our lives in alignment with our values.
It's about empowering ourselves to make choices that promote well-being, both individually and collectively, regardless of what the future holds.
Precisely. And remember, even in the face of uncertainty, there's always hope. Human beings are incredibly resilient and adaptable, and we have a remarkable capacity for love, compassion, and innovation. These qualities can guide us through even the most challenging times.
Bapuji himself seems to hold on to this hope, believing that a significant portion of humanity will survive and transition peacefully through spiritual growth. He suggests that there are currently 1.6 billion souls on Earth who have achieved a level of awareness that will protect them.
He doesn't go into detail about how he arrived at that number or how these individuals are identified. However, it speaks to his belief in the power of human potential and the possibility of a brighter future, even amidst the challenges he foresees.
This brings us to another intriguing aspect of Bapuji's message, his call to action. He doesn't simply present these predictions as inevitable events. He actively encourages people to take steps to mitigate the potential destruction.
This is where we see the intersection of prophecy and personal responsibility.
Okay.
Bapuji believes that by achieving a connection with the Supreme Kalki avatar and spreading positive vibrations throughout the universe, we can collectively counteract the negative forces at play.
So it's not just about passively waiting for the future to unfold, but actively engaging in practices that promote spiritual growth and positive change.
Exactly. He emphasizes the importance of becoming Brahmajanani individuals who possess the highest level of spiritual wisdom. This involves not only seeking knowledge and understanding, but also embodying that wisdom through our actions and interactions with the world.
So in essence, he's advocating for a conscious effort to raise our collective vibration, to spread love, compassion, and understanding as a means of counteracting the negativity and conflict that he sees as the root cause of the coming destruction.
It's a powerful message of empowerment, reminding us that we are not merely victims of circumstance, but active participants in shaping the future, both individually and collectively. And while his methods might not resonate with everyone, the underlying message of conscious action and positive change is universally applicable.
It's a lot to consider. We've explored some incredibly complex and thought-provoking ideas today, from the concept of a subtle realm where unseen forces are at play, to the possibility of a cosmic fire that consumes multiple universes.
And while we might not have all the answers, I think this deep dive has sparked some important questions for us to ponder, questions about the nature of reality, the power of spiritual growth, and our individual and collective roles in shaping the future.
It's interesting, as we go through these predictions, it really strikes me that Bapuji's message isn't just about these abstract concepts or far-off events. There's a real human element here, a sense of urgency and concern for the well-being of humanity.
What I find really fascinating is this emotional undercurrent that runs through his words. He talks about people feeling disillusioned, losing faith in traditional systems, even children expressing a desire for the world to end because they're just overwhelmed by the state of things.
He really paints this picture of widespread anxiety, a feeling that something is fundamentally amiss in the world. And while his solutions might seem unconventional to some, I think it's important to acknowledge that underlying unease that many people are experiencing.
Absolutely. It speaks to a sense of powerlessness that many feel when confronted with these global challenges that seem so beyond their control. Climate change, political polarization, economic instability. It's natural to look for answers, search for meaning and hope in these times of uncertainty.
And while we may not agree with his specific predictions or solutions, I think there's value in recognizing those shared anxieties and engaging in these open conversations about how we can navigate these complex times.
Instead of dismissing these concerns, I think it's important to listen with empathy and seek understanding. Perhaps by acknowledging those anxieties and engaging in constructive dialogue, we can find common ground and work together to create a more positive future.
Bapuji's message, while often framed in these stark terms, ultimately boils down to a call for individual and collective transformation. He believes that by cultivating spiritual awareness and connecting to a higher purpose, we can not only navigate the challenges ahead, but also contribute to a more harmonious world.
And that message resonates far beyond any specific belief system. It speaks to the inherent human longing for meaning, connection, and a sense of agency in a world that often feels so chaotic and unpredictable.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I'm left with a sense of both caution and possibility. Bapuji's predictions serve as a reminder of the potential consequences of unchecked negativity and conflict. But they also highlight the power of individual and collective action to create a more positive future.
It's a call to awaken to our own potential, to cultivate inner peace and resilience, and to make choices that align with our highest values.
If you are intrigued by Bapuji's perspective and want to explore his predictions further, we'll include a link to his YouTube video in the show notes. We encourage you to watch it with an open mind and consider how his message might resonate with your own experiences and aspirations.
Remember, the future is not set in stone. We have the power to shape our own destiny both individually and collectively. So go out there, be kind, be curious, be courageous, and create the future you want to see.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep.